ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरि ओम। सुमुखश्च एकदन्तश्च कपिलो गजकर्णकः लंबोदरश्च विकटो विघ्नराजो विनायकः धूमकेतुर्गणाध्यक्षः फालचन्द्रो गजाननः वक्रतुण्डः शूर्पकर्णो हेरम्बः स्कन्दपूर्वजः शुक्लाम्बरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये। यस्यद्विरदवक्त्राभ्याः पारिषद्याः परस्ततं विघ्नं निघ्नन्ति सततं विश्वक्सेनं तमाश्रये। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुर्साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। Swami Grace, let's continue where we left off. We talked about samyama. Samyama, when concentration, meditation and samadhi, that is dharana, dhyana and samadhi, when on any object, on any thought, on any feeling, that is manifested, what we call as creation, right? When you're able to concentrate on it without mind wavering only on that for say 12 seconds, that becomes one dharana. And 12 dharanas becomes one dhyana. It's 144 seconds. If I'm able to do this on any given object, on any given thought, it doesn't matter, whatever it is, or any question as Ramana Maharshi had. And then that becomes one dhyana. 12 dharanas becomes one dhyana. And one dhyana becomes, 12 dhyanas becomes one samadhi. Now, when that is achieved, with 144 times 12, that is what, 24 times 12, so you got about maybe 26 minutes and a few seconds after that, on any object. That samadhi, becoming one with it, these three things, processes are called samyamaha. Samyamaha. Now, once we become skilled at this samyama, then we get into the world of the light of knowledge. The selfless love from within shines. We can touch it. We can immerse ourselves in it. We can embrace it. But this process has to be gone stage by stage. It should not be hurried through. In nature, nothing takes place in hurry. Hurry, worry and curry gives heartache, is what Swami says. So nothing is in a hurry in nature. Everything in beautiful, its own function of time takes place in equilibrium. So the question of so-called expediting things, that is a man-made thing. It is not in nature. You must allow things to take its own course. Everything happens within its allotted quantity of time. So do this stage by stage with perseverance and progressively is what the Rishi advises. Now, these three, this samyama, the thing that constitutes samyama, the dharana, dhyana, and samadhi, more directly put us in touch with our own self than the previous 5 limbs of the Ashtanga Yoga. Rishi himself taught us the yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, and pratyahara. They are important, but they don't put us in touch with ourselves, our own selfless love, the prema, directly. These three do. But even when you become skilled at this samyama and establish yourself in samadhi, still the residual desires are left. So this does not take one to the final stage of samadhi, the oneness, where the mind completely ceases to be. The mind is nothing but a bundle of desires. Even the thought, the consciousness that I am experiencing this, that itself keeps us separate from the experience itself, isn't it? So that is Sutra number 8 we came up to. Tadapi Bahihi Angam Nirbijasya. Now let us go to number 9. Vyuthana Nirogha Samskarayoho Abhibhava Pradurbhava Nirodha Kshana Chitta Anvayaha Nirodha Parinamaha. Vyuthana Nirodha Samskarayoho Abhibhava Pradurbhavaha Bhavaha Nirodha Kshana Chitta Anvayaha Nirodha Parinamaha. Vyuthana Nirodha Samskarayoho Abhibhava Pradurbhavaha Nirodha Kshana Chitta Anvayaha Nirodha Parinamaha. Nirodha, very important. And next question comes. If there is even a slight residual desire, slight element of separation from our own self, even a slight residual amount of mind, so-called mind is left, then how do I control that? Nirodha. So this is what Parikshit experiences. Amanaskaha is what Bhagavan says. Before merging with Bhagavan, becoming one with one's own self, the mind has to be not negated or nullified. It just ceases to be. There is no desire left, nothing left. Then the mind is nothing but a crystal clear that reflects that the Jyoti that is within. So, Vyuthana, Nirodha, you see the word appearing 3 times. Nirodha. Nirodha means how do you control something, to restrain something that really in one's control. How do I control my mind in such a way the mind ceases to be and is only a tool, not a trap. It only reflects the effulgence of the Prema Jyoti that is within, without any impurities. Right? Nirodha. So let's go word by word. Vyuthana. Once you wake up to, once you become aware of. How do you become aware of? So then, Nirodha Samskarayoho Abhibhava. The Abhibhava means you must overpower, you master over, you bring things under your control. What are your Samskarayoho Abhibhava? The various Samskaram is putting in a very simple manner, are all the agitations in our mind. That as a result of, mostly a result of, for people like us, whatever our past actions have been. Yesterday's actions or today's words. Please remember that. Yesterday's actions or today's words. So those are our samskara. That's your agitation. And, so mental agitations, Nirodha, to control, to restrain them. If you restrain the mental agitations, control them by overpowering them, Abhibhava, overpowering them. And how do you overpower them? Only through love. Love is the only solution, the only weapon, and nothing is more powerful than prema. Please remember that. That is the truth. So our problem is we are not loving enough. We don't love adequately. Okay, this is our problem. That's what we have got to restrain and control by using the weapon that is already within us. So when you do that, and the Vyuthana is the awakening, to wake up. Wake up to what? Wake up to this truth. Wake up to this phenomenal power that each one of us have. And understand, yes, this prema is so powerful. So wake up to that. Right now, we are all asleep to that. We don't recognize it. We don't believe it. We don't put faith in it, right? So many problems we have. That's why we are not awake to it. We must wake up to that. Prema eva is what the rishis teach us. So that selfless love, love is God, God is love. We must first understand that. Hear that. We must do smaranam on that, and then develop unshakable faith in that. That gives us the power to overcome and overpower the mental agitations that we have. Even the last residual desire that is there, even after doing samyama, dharana, dhyana, and samadhi on any object, and we become skilled at it, we become more and more loving. It is not just a word. Then through that, we overpower samskarayoho nirodha. Even the last vestibule, the last residue of desires that we have, the feeling of separation from that love itself, by overpowering that, overcoming that with love itself, and then we awaken to what happens at the time. Pradhur bhava. Nirodha Kshana Chitta Anvayoho. Let me do the Nirodha Kshana Chitta Anvayoho first, because that also goes with this. Kshana, on every moment, Chitta Anvayoho. The Anvayaha means something that happens in succession. It's after one after another, one after another. It keeps on going, and that is what our life is. We think our life is discrete. We think we get up in the morning and we do various activities. We think those activities are all discrete activities. No. They are all continuous. Whether we eat, whether we take a bath or get into a car and go someplace, the mind is always agitated. It's a continuous stream of activities. You think you finish one activity, then immediately the next activity begins. Right? Everything is a continuous chain. There is no break in this. That is anvayaha, succession. Quick succession it comes with. And chitta, anvayaha. Chitta means several things. It means mind, it means buddhi, it means the internal impulses that we have. So all those things, that is impelling us, pulling us, and pushing us continuously, one after another, right? And then Kshana. Kshana means a moment of time. It's like a very small amount of time it is. In that process, every moment of time that you look at, there is always a succession of chittam and the samskaram that is taking place continuously. Nirodha, control this, to control it. How do you control it? Abhibhava. You must be more powerful than this. Exercise your power over it. Right now we are all slaves. But your buddhi is more powerful than mind. And the indweller, the Atma, is more powerful than the buddhi. Is what Bhagavan teaches in Bhagavad Gita. The mind is more powerful than the senses. Buddhi is more powerful than the mind. And Atma is more powerful than the buddhi. And Atma equal to prema, selfless love. There's no need to get confused on that. There is only one entity. So, resort to that is what Krishna tells Arjuna. Same thing Patanjali also teaches us, abhibhava, overpower it. And then, when you do that, pradhur bhavaha. Pradhur bhavaha means something that has been invisible becomes visible to you. What a beautiful way. Immediately a whole new universe gets opened to you. Right? All of a sudden awareness, consciousness, everything becomes different. Nirodha parinamaha. And this parinamaha means the word you will see parinamaha several times in the next few sutras also. Parinamaha means two things. The effort that you undertake to do something is also parinama. Now the result, the fruit of that, the fruit is generally beneficial fruit. Okay, the beneficial result. Beneficial means not getting what you want, but getting what is good for you. So here, parinama means the final result of all the effort that you do in abhibhavam, in overpowering and restraining your agitation by applying love as the ointment, as the medicine, right, as a tool, then the result is Nirodha Parinamaha, the fruitful result of your effort to control. That means your controlling efforts, controlling activities have achieved their final result. So important thing is Abhibhava, overpower it, Samskara Nirodha, Chitta Anvayaha, Kshana Nirodha, and first is Yuttana Abhibhava. First, wake up to this most powerful tool that you have and apply it. Then you can control these various agitations, mental agitations, and then you will see what has been invisible become manifest itself to you. The love itself will manifest itself to you. And that is the final stage of Nirodha Parinama. All the controlling effort that we want to do and get peace of mind and so many things, that is the final result. Nirodha Parinama. Yuttana Nirodha Samskarayoho Abhibhava Pradurbhavaha Nirodha Kshana Chitta Anvayaha Nirodha Parinamaha. Okay, I have done that. Then what happens? Then Tasya Prasanta Vahita Samskarate. Vahita means to remove, to eradicate. Samskarate, all samskarangal. We are all bound by our samskarangal. And all samskaram is nothing but going through our life because of the agitations we have. Don't think we are living and agitations are in our life. No, it's our life is in our agitation. Please remember that. It's the other way around. Samskarangal is the one that keeps on giving us birth after birth after birth. So they have to be nullified, eradicated. And that can happen only through the purification process. The purification process is the Ashtanga Yoga. Okay? So those that out of which Yama and Niyama are the most important. Automatically, if you follow Yama and Niyama, then Dharana, Dhyana and Samadhi become facilitated. So these samskarangal, Vahita, they get removed completely. Tasya Prashanta. Once they get removed, Prashanti is the only one that is left. Only the divine peace, divine Shanti is the one that is left. Tasya Prashanta Vahita Samskarate. Now, what happens when the mind or even the slightest mental distraction gets removed? Like even I am experiencing selfless love. It is so peaceful. Even whatever that feeling, that the moment you say I am peaceful, that means you are separating yourself from peace. Even that mental thought of separation, this is the residue that Patanjali Rishi is talking about here. Okay? Even the final residual thought of separation from yourself, right? This Advaitam, this Vaitam that we're talking of, even that gets removed and one reaches the state of Samadhi. This is what the next sutram talks about. Sarvartha, one second, Sarvartha Taihi, Eka, Sarvartha Ekagra Tayaha, Shayo Dayao, Chittasya Samadhi Parinamaha. Samadhi Parinamaha. Now the final result of Samadhi has been achieved. Samadhi Parinamaha. What happened? Sarvartha Ekagra Tayoho. All Sarvartam. Artham. Sarva Artham. Artham means essence. Sarva, all, whether thoughts or feelings or objects or appearances and disappearances, everything that we see in this jagat, in this universe, sarvam, artha, what is the essence of that? That essence, ekagra tayoho, the oneness in everything. Shayo dayao chittasya. See, the differences completely or vanished, or disappeared in one's mind. right? That everything, even Chaya also means decrease, declining. And the when the differences decline and the differences decrease in the Chitasya, and finally all the differences vanish and you perceive and experience the oneness of sarvam, of everything, of all, then samadhi parinamaha. That is the final achievement and the result of samadhi. That is the final samadhi, the oneness, without feeling of separation. Sarvarthata ekagra tayoho chayodayo chittasya samadhi parinamaha. Now, how long do I achieve this? Is the question. The time also exists at this point, or time actually becomes extinct also? Time is also part of creation only. So, have I gone? Kala Pitaya Namaha. Bhagavan, we worship him. Beyond time. Have I reached that stage? Beyond time? That's what next sutra Rishi points to. Santo ditau tulya pratyayau Chittasya ekagrataha parinamaha. Santa buditau tulya pratyayaha Chittasya ekagrataha parinamaha. Now, the Chittasya ekagrataha, the mind becomes one-pointed. Okay? When does it happen? Well, tulya pratyaya. That means pratyaya means on effort. Tulya means even without even the smallest effort, negligible. It becomes single-pointed, completely focused. It is not distracted at all anymore. Then Shanti Udita. Then peace manifests itself. Parinamaha. That's a result of Chittasya ekagrataha. When the mind is focused and does not waver, and then it does not get distracted, continuously, it's a continuous, the time actually ceases to be. And when you focus on the present, you will find the time ceases to be. The time exists only when you think of the past or the future. When you focus on the present, you will actually experience the truth of Bhagavan. Really, at Chanam, even this moment you can experience it if you focus on that moment. But our mind goes to the past or to the future, so we miss the present. The present is where the Shanti is, the Prashanti is, the peace is. And as they say, past is past, no point in whining over it. The future is uncertain. You don't know if it's going to come or not. But present is omnipresent. Always remember that. And just what happens. Because the mind, ekagrataha, it's focused on one thing. And then Shanti uditaha, peace has manifests itself. Envelops you. Shanti uditaha tulya pratyayaha chittasya ekagrataha parinamaha. Now, what happens to the mind? This, when ekagrata you do that, what actually happens is all the objects that are manifest, all the things that are present, you can't negate the fact you're looking at a table or sitting in a chair or whatever, right? I mean, you are there, you're aware of that. But then what happens to it? That thing that you perceive, that appear and disappear and appear and disappear, that also the Rishi explains in the next, what is happening to our perception of appearances and disappearances. How do you see the oneness in the things that keep on changing? Right? He explains that. Yetena bhutehe indriyeshu dharma lakshana avastha parinama vyakhyatāha. Vyakhyatāha. Something that vyakhyatāha means, one means to speech and explain and all that. Other also to mean to elucidate, to manifest, to clarify what becomes very clear to you, what becomes manifested to you. The appearances and disappearance we think are manifesting themselves. No. There is something else behind them that appears and disappears. That is what gets manifested to you. What is it? Yetena. With this chittasya ekagrataha. With this one-pointed samyama that has been done continuously, and removing even the slightest residual desire of separation, become one with it, that etena bhutehe indriyeshu, bhutehe, all the beings, all the things that appear, that we perceive in this world, including our mind, right? Our mind is the one that gives so many colors to so many things. Indriyeshu, the senses through which we perceive. Bhutehe indriyeshu, once with this chittasya ekagrataha, all the bhutehe indriyeshu, dharma lakshana avastha. That is very important. So we go through three types of avasthai. Avasthai means, one colloquial meaning in Tamil is that difficulty, right? But avasthai is actually means experience. And we say Jagrata Avastha, that means all the experiences we go through while you're awake. And Swapna Avastha, the experiences we go through in dream. Then Sushupti, the deep sleep experience also we have, that Avastha. But this Avastha is talking about, this experience is Dharma Lakshana. Lakshana, we said, means a characteristic. What is it that separates, say, a tree from a grass, or a human being from an animal, or a sand from a mountain, or a sky, or a ice from fire? Each one has got a lakshanam, a quality, that differentiating quality. Okay, and even if you take our alphabets in our language, any language, okay, we say each alphabet, each letter has got a lakshanam as different from another letter. That's what differentiates it, right? So that's lakshanam. Dharma lakshana. Now, what is a lakshanam for dharmam? Dharmam and shanti and prema and ahimsa, these are all one and the same things, right? So dharma lakshana, the characteristic trait, the quality of what dharmam is. What is the dharmam in the various bhutangal and the indriyangal we have, the various things we perceive in this world that appear and disappear constantly, including time, right? What is the dharmam? What is the oneness among all this? That experience, that avasthai, parinama vyakyataha, that will manifest itself, become clear, and that will be the end result of this. Chittasya ekagrataha. One experiences the oneness of all the unity and diversity is what is not unity. It's oneness in the diversity. Okay, unity and diversity is a phrase we use and it sounds so good. Actually, that's a misnomer. To unite means you need more than one. Okay, two things can unite, but one can never unite with itself. So our ekam sat vipraha bhaguta vadanti is the teaching. Okay, there is only one. So there is no unity. It's just giving up the differences so that then the oneness shines. Etena bhutehe indriyeshu dharma lakshana avastha parinama vyakyataha. That is 13. Now we go to 14. Now, then you begin to the 14 is a bit difficult to understand, okay? But let me point a couple of things there, and with Bhagavan's grace, it will become clear to you. When you look at any object, could be a table or a leaf or a plant that is dancing in the wind, or whatever that you look at, okay, and you focus on it. This is important. You do dharana, dhyana, and then you become one with that. What exactly happens, okay, so the so-called perception in our mind before it reaches the oneness, right, before, then it really looks at, it's able to look at the object that has got characteristics. Every object, the characteristics are one and the same. It has got three characteristics. Other than the rajas, tamas, rajas, and sattvic characteristics, that is one thing. And that is what causes the following. It gives us the knowledge, the experience that any object is subject to change. That is one quality. And what is the change? Then the next question comes. That means changes can be in the past, that it was like this and now it is like this today. We all know that. Changes in the past, changes in the present, and changes yet to be manifested. This is the beauty. So anything that is born, the moment it is created, undergoes change. Okay, we all know that. And including a cell in our body, right? We all know that. Scientifically, we know. So if you focus and understand this, you will see that the change is part of anything that is created. We call it growth, we call it decline, and these are all names we give. But it is change. Change from the moment of birth, it changes in the past, the present, and changes yet to come. Before it disappears. And what is happening to these various objects? What are the characteristics? That knowledge, that experience also one gets. Okay, that's what Sutra number 14 is. Shanta Udita Vyapadesya Dharma Anupataha Dharmi. Okay, Shanta Udita Vyapadesya Dharma Anupataha Dharmi. Okay. Now, Vyapadesya is a new word. Vyapadesya means something that you designate. You say this is a table. You designate it's a table. And you say this is a chair. And you say it's a chair. You say this is a boy. This is a girl. Right? These are all things designated, indicated by us. And we do that to differentiate, right? And by doing this, we have automatically limited our understanding of it. The moment you limit something by differentiating it, then you limited your understanding of that. So whatever Vyapadesya, whatever we have differentiated and designated and indicated, this is what it is, this is what it is not, and all that in this world, okay? Now, Dharma Anupataha. Anupataha means to follow in succession. To successively you follow and you gain additional knowledge step by step. Dharma Anupataha. Now, any object that has been created, Vyapadesya, any thought, we say it is a lousy weather, sir. That thing we create. Weather is what it is. Or we say I am sad. You created sadness, right? No, whatever we designate, immediately that we limit it. And not only limit to objects and beings and all that, but also remember thoughts and feelings and everything. That's very important. So now if I were to understand that, Dharma Anupataha, to understand the essence of it, the true essence of it in successively, okay, with this Chittasi Ekagrataha, that becomes possible, then Shanta Udita. The peace, anything that you see, then you can never get provoked because there's nothing to provoke. Everything is Shanti only, everything is Dharma only, everything is Prema only. That Udita, that springs from within, right? That reveals itself to you. Then Dharmi. Dharmi is the one who follows the path of Dharma, who does the Satyanveshanam. Satya Anveshanam, one who excavates for the truth in everything and anything, that he is a dharmi. And this experience, this knowledge, uditaha, that shantam uditaha, that springs from within. Shanta udita vyapadesya dharma anupataha dharmi. Now, you understand when dharmanupataha, when you do the excavation for truth in anything, what happens successively in process of succession, the knowledge reveals itself to you. It's a beautiful revelation, and then we understand. Oh, it was like this in the past. Today it is like this, and in the future it's still not. We don't know how it is going to be. But what exactly is happening here in all these changes, that one begins to get the knowledge of evolution itself. That's what evolution is. Evolution is nothing but when we talk about somebody being born and somebody becoming old or whatever it is. This evolution, that is to do with the body. That's all. So we see a body and we think the person is born and becomes old and then he passes away, disappears. We call it as our human life. That is to do with the body. But what is to do with the mind? How does the mind evolve? How does a plant evolve? How does a physical thing? So this process of evolution of the universe, if you look at, how does the universe evolve? What is happening to it? What is the change that's going to come? So when these physical objects, gross objects, as well as mental evolution, everything goes through these changes, the past, the present, and the future. That knowledge of how the evolution takes place, how the evolution occurs, that experience also one gets. Chittasya ekagrataha, one in samadhi, final state of samadhi, not the bijasya samadhi, not the one with desire, the final state when there is no seed, no residual desire. At that point, one experiences the evolution process also. So we can say, why Swami Bhagavan has created all this? We all have the question, why so much misery in the world? The world is not miserable. We are creating miseries, right? So that's what Sutra number 15 talks about. You experience the process of evolution. You become one with Brahma, one with Brahman itself. Krama anyatvam parinama anyatyeva hetuhu. Krama anyatvam parinama anyatve hetuhu. Parinamam. We see as the final result, right? Anyatve. So anyatvam means in succession, in progression. Krama anyatvam, all the various things that is happening in our life, in our mind. We talked about this. It's a continuous chain, succeed one after another, it keeps on coming. Whatever you call it, it's coming one after another. So the hetuhu, the reason, the cause, the process of why it is taking place, that parinama, that also will be manifested. You experience that at this point. Krama anyatvam parinama anyatve hetuhu. All this happens. Final samadhi, this is how you achieve it. This is what happens. This is what you must do, is what the Rishi is saying. Samyama, he has explained it, right? Very important. That is the dharana, dhyana, and leading to samadhi. And continuously involved in that, successively, progressively, in the samyama, you continue to do that. In that process, when you do that, and it cannot be done, it cannot be hurried. It should not be expedited. It should be done slowly, steadily, as everything in nature is. Okay? And then what happens? Okay? What we call as yogic powers. Okay? Siddhi power. These are the terms we use. Because the reality, the omnipotence of this prema, selfless love, it is all powerful. There is nothing more powerful than that. Now, and that is being hidden in each one of us due to our selfishness, swartham. Okay, it's a word Bhagavan describes. So because of our selfishness, we are not powerful. The more selfless one becomes, the more powerful one becomes. The more loving one becomes, the more powerful one becomes. Now, if I'm touching this selfless love prema within me, and I become one with it, in that process, Remember, it's a progressive stage. You should not hurry it. So as you evolve into it, as you remove the clothes of selfishness and slowly remove the wraps of selfishness around us, then the selfless love within each one of us starts revealing itself. As I remove one layer of selfishness, then more of that gets removed. As I remove the second layer, like that it comes on. So as it reveals itself progressively, automatically various powers get revealed. Because ultimately it is the omnipotent, it's all powerful. That is what the final stage is. But in that process, automatically more and more power gets revealed. When you approach a fire, when you go closer and closer to the fire, you get more and more hot, right? The heat of it gets revealed to you as you get closer and closer to it. It is so. The next few sutras, the Rishi is going to say, what are the various powers that get revealed? What happens when you do samyama this way and when you do samyama this way? What happens? What happens? And what are the powers that get revealed? So, important thing to remember as we go through the next few sutras is not to get attracted to them, not to get distracted by them, and not to focus on these so-called powers that reveal themselves. As Kanchi Paramacharya says, as Ramana Maharishi says, as Ramakrishna Paramahamsa says, as Bhagavan says, Bhagavan himself says, no, you should be absolutely unconcerned with these powers that manifest from within you, because they are distractions, they are traps. Your focus should be only the final goal. Okay, that's what the focus should be, because these are all traps and distractions on the way. It is like walking on a banana peel. It's very slippery, this path is. So we must be very strong and fully committed and not waver this way or that way. Okay, these are temptations that happens, and many people fall prey to this, and then they are called yoga brashtaha in Bhagavad Gita. It says, what happens? You go halfway and then you fall prey to it. Then no, nothing wrong. The next janma, whenever it happens, you pick up wherever you left off. But the final journey is you should not get distracted by any of these. So with that caution and warning, let's cover a couple of more sutras here. Now, we talked about Chittasya Ekagrataha. If you look at any object and just say you focus on that object and focus on the change the object is going through, our own body, our own mind, whatever thing you take, and focus on what are the changes, how is the change taken. And when you do that Ekagrataha on the change, the three types of changes that are taking place in everything that is created, including the mind, okay, including the non-gross creations, right, including the subtle creations. When you focus only on the change aspect of it, and Chittasya Ekagrataha, and fully focused on that, and you do samyama on that dharana and dhyana, and finally become one with that change itself, what power do you get? You get the knowledge of the past and the future. That's what happens. That's a power that gets revealed when you do samyama on the change part of it. Parinama traya samyamadate samyamate atita anagata jnanam. One second, let me see this clearly here. Parinama traya samyamate atita anagata jnanam. Jnanam, knowledge. Anagata, atita, samyamate. Parinama traya. Traya samyamate. Traya, these three changes that he has been talking about in the previous sutra. Traya, the three changes that everything undergoes. Samyamate, if I do samyamam on that, and you know what samyamam is, we have talked about it, then atita, beyond those changes, anagata, the unknown, jnanam, the knowledge, parinama, manifests itself. Okay? Parinama traya samyamat asita anagata jnanam. Now we will do, okay, let us see, maybe we will do one or two more. Now what happens, okay, Swami, now if I focus on the change that an object goes through, that how things, everything is impermanent and temporary in this world, but in the temporariness of everything, there is a constancy. In the impermanent of everything, there is a permanency. What is that? What is the change that is happening there? Then I get the knowledge of the past and the future. If I were to focus and do samyamam on sound, any sound, there are so much varieties of sound all over, all around us, isn't it? So, not only pranavam, you can take pranavam and then sound, that's good, that you do the samyama. But if you focus on the sound aspect and do samyamam and explore the universe, this is what Bhagavan says, there is infinite pathways to embrace this, climb this tree of love. So, if I do that, then what do I do? What do I get? What powers and knowledge gets revealed? Again, the meaning of every sound. This is where the etymology in Sanskrit is very important. And if you, for example, anupramanam, pramanam, manam, like that, if you look into those, each one of those sabdangal, the sound, that itself takes you into a different universe, right? And I do samyamam on that, then I get the knowledge of all the sounds that are uttered by all living beings, not only human beings, even an earthworm, even a leaf that makes a sound. Okay, all the sounds that are made in the universe, I get the knowledge of the oneness in all that sound, which means pranavam, the omkaram that is present everywhere. That is the power that gets revealed to you when you do samyamam on the sabdham. Okay? Sabdamayi. Bhagavan is present in Sabdamayi. Bhagavan is present in Characharamayi. Right? In Anandamayi. That you can, one aspect of Bhagavan. And with that, he takes you to himself. Right? So here Sabdamayi. How is Bhagavan present? What is the oneness in this? I do samyamam on that. Sabdhartha pratyaya. Anamita itara dhyasat sankaraha tat pravibhaha samyamat sarva bhuta uta jnanam. So, I have some difficulty reading here. 1 second. Bear with me. So the words are Sabdha Artha, the essence of the sound, Artham, meaning, essence of Sabdam, the sound. Pratyaya, I take effort. Okay. And how do I take effort to understand it? See, Pratyaya, Anamita. Anamita means you supplicate yourself to, you bend down in humility, in respect, in worship, not out of weakness, no, not out of helplessness, no. Out of, Bhagavan says, no, you are not a slave in front of Bhagavan, in front of God. You have equal right as God himself to demand, because God is our Father. Equal right, you give me. That is what Gayatri Mantram is so important. It is not a prayer, it is not a worship. Dhiyo yona prachodayate. Make my buddhi strong, sharpen it. It's every birthright to ask for it. Anamita, but we must have humility, vinayam. Without vinayam, nothing will open. So anamitaha pratyaya, with humility, bending down, mentally supplicating oneself with a sincere quest to know Sabdhartha, the meaning the essence of all the sound around me, okay, anamitaha, itara, all these various things, dhyasat, itara, adhyasat, okay, adhyasat. That means, adhyaya means to practice, to put this effort continuously in practice. Practice, adhyasat, sankaraha. Now, sankara means, one meaning is, this is sankaraha, not shankaraha. Shankaraha is Bhagavan, one who gives bliss himself. Karaha, to do. Sham means to bliss. That is Shiva. One name we give to Shiva, auspiciousness and all that. Shankaraha. He also Vishnu and everybody is a Shankara. But this is Sankaraha. It is exactly opposite meaning. Sankaraha means battle, difficulties. And we see a battle, we call something a battle when we are not able to experience or understand or experience the oneness in the various things that are happening, conflicting things, so many things happening, right? We're not able to mix them together, blend them together into oneness. That is why battle comes in always. The moment I'm able to mix and blend everything together as oneness, I have no battle. So Sankaraha means to be able to blend together, to mix together what itara, all these various sabdangal, itara sabdangal, all these various sounds, adhyasate, looking at the oneness of it, that is the artham, what is the essence, what is the oneness of all this. If I do that, tat, from that, pravibhaga samyamate. Now, that means in all these various sounds that we are talking of, pravibhaga, they are so much different, aren't they? So many types and so many varieties of sound all over. Pravibhaga, samyamate. If I focus and look at the oneness, the artham, sabda artham in that, and if I do that as a adhyayam, as a continuous practice, and if I do that pratyaya, if I do that, take the effort to do that adhyasate continuously with perseverance, and also anamitaha with humility, if I seek the artham in the pravibhaga sabdangal, in the various different forms and varieties of sound, then what do I get? Sarva bhuta uta jnanam. In the sarva bhuta, all the beings that are present in this world, and every being is creating a sound, including a speck of sand, right? Everything, if there is a sound, that sound is what manifested itself as us. You can put it that way. Uta, and the various sounds that all the beings create, Uta means that those various sounds Uta promote, that itself promotes jnanam, knowledge. So when I look for the one sound, the pranavam, the basis of all the varieties of sound there, I get the knowledge of that one sound, which is pranavam. Then I have to do samyamam. I have to do dharanam, dhyanam, and samadhi. So I can take this as one tool. I can focus and enter this universe of the sphere of myself through the process of sound itself. The previous one, I can do that while things are all changing. What is the constancy in this? I can focus on that. Or I can look at the sound around me. He's giving examples. If I do this way, I get this power. Okay. Now we got 6 minutes to go, so let us stop for today. Because we have covered quite a lot of material today. Lots of new Sanskrit words, but the concept, I hope was getting a little bit clear to you. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Samastaloka Sukhino Bhavantu. Samastaloka Sukhino Bhavantu. Samastaloka Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.